Your mark for your writing's gonna be frightening if you can't get the basics right. So listen to this and keep your punctuation tight with the punctuation rap. So level 1's all about full stops. When you get to the end of a sentence, just put a little dot. That's it. That's how to use a full stop. Job's a good one. Level 2. Oh my god, is that a shark? You just asked a question. I hope you used a question mark, because whenever you put a question into your text, a question mark just has to come next. What if I want to make something stand out like a scream or a shout in my writing? It's alright as long as you don't leave your reader in the dark. So if it needs to stand out, use an exclamation mark. Great for indicating shock or surprise. It's gonna eat me! I can see it in his eyes! That's a really good example, mate. Well, sorry. So level 3 is all about the comma, and I'm gonna hand the mic to me mama. Commas can separate items in a list, check it out, it can go a little like this. I'm off to the shop cause I want some pop, Haribo, fish fingers and a packet of crisps. Use commas if you're using lots of adjectives in an expansive descriptive list. He was a horrible, haggard, cruel, nasty, mean old man living in the back of a mucky old transit van. Don't talk about your dad like that! Sorry ma'am. You can also use commas to make little pauses when separating the main and subordinate clauses. Of course, as an example, check this out. Despite being a part-time teacher, Mr. Emsley was a rapper and educational preacher. Want me to teach you another example? Alright, having not paid attention to the punctuation rap, the pupil's writing was absolutely cat. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of emphasis on how to use commas as parentheses, but stop. We'll come back to this. What for? It's time for level 4. This quote's too long, I only need a little bit, so I'll snip using ellipsis, and the irrelevant part of the quote gets dropped and gets replaced by 3 little dots. Now it's gonna get awfully costly if you can't use an apostrophe correctly. So let's make this quick. You got to use apostrophes to show ownership. So if a girl called Mona owns a ship, you can say, see that ship there, that's Mona's ship. For bonus ticks, don't slip with omission. You need to get it correct, you need to make it a mission to take 2 words and stick them together. So he's and she's becomes he's and she's, and would not and could not becomes wouldn't and couldn't. But to glue them together we need some adhesive please, and the greatest glue is apostrophes. You wanna hear some more? Yes please! So there's don't and didn't, there's doesn't and haven't, there's there and there's and you're and it's, and it's startling that that's just the start of the list. But listen to this, there's a twist with it. If it's is short for it is, then you'll need to use an apostrophe a little like this. It's a frosty Friday morning and it's flipping freezing. There's a bitter cold wind and it's brutally breezy. It's pleasing to see that you've got that part before the other type of bits. It gets a bit harder. Let's have a look at a leopard. Wow. Look at its claws, its teeth and its tail, and its other bits suggest it's a male. Please, please don't fail with these. All you got to do is drop the apostrophe. Drop them. Level 4's last part is all about speech, using quotes or whenever someone speaks. So if you want to avoid getting weak marks, then don't forget to use speech marks. Inverted commas, single or double, use whichever one you want, it's no hassle, no trouble. Do you get it then? I asked. Yes I do! Cried the kid at the top of the class. Yay! Now a lot of careless kids are committing crimes, forgetting speech marks for quotes when copying out lines. Don't forget that your quotes need to go inside pairs of little 66s and 99s. That's it. Oh yeah? Remember that and you'll be just fine. Okay. And we can move it on up to level 5. Holla! We're on the last level now, look at this, and it's time to talk about parentheses. But there's no need for a fuss, no need for a racket, just need to think about commas, dashes and brackets and use them without hesitation. If you need to put a little bit of extra information into a sentence, check this out. My neighbour has got really bad breath and my neighbour's name is Dodgy Jeff. Can you hear how that sounds clunky? It's not funky due to be too chunky. I think it needs some speed, it needs to flow, you know. Part of the sentence just needs to go, and to achieve this, use parenthesis. My neighbour Dodgy Jeff has got really bad breath. So Dodgy Jeff becomes extra information that needs parentheses in order to be contained. But commas, dashes, brackets, Use whichever one you want, they all work the same. Did you know punctuation can be used like Cupid? I ain't stupid, I mean it. Take two simple sentences that relate, kinda like a lad and lass that wanna go on a date. Wouldn't it be great if we could help hook them up? Well, you can, all you need to do is put a semicolon between them. Now have you seen them? Together forever, yay! That's the way! You can also use a semicolon to replace connected. Just be selective and make sure on either side of the semicolon is a sentence that makes sense by itself.
My dad was doing DIY. He was making a shelf.
Have you got control of your colons? If you haven't, then your writing won't be right, it'll be riddled with wrongs. So heed this song and use a colon if you choose to use a list. Here's an example for you, it's all about fish.
Here are the four main parts of a fish: scales, gills, fins and lips.
That's the trick! There's another way, a slightly tougher way to use a colon to show opinion and leave no doubt or expand on the topic that you're talking about. To do this, use a colon like an equal sign.
Poetry equals creative expression, rhythm and rhyme.
Just put two dots instead of two lines. Let's sample some examples. Politicians, full of nothing but lies. Opticians, good for the eyes. The most perfect replacement for pasta: rice. That's it. Made it to the top. Punctuation, hip hop. Kid Punctuate signing off. Full stop.